21-year-old Brooke Beeson and her mother, Lynn McWaters, are suing Brooke's former roommate, 20-year-old Kimberly May, for breaking their apartment lease. Kimberly claims Brooke uses illegal drugs.
Yeah, it's case number 374 on the calendar in the matter of Beeson McWaters versus May. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
How old are you?
21.
Who is this?
My mother.
Have a seat, thank you. Miss Beeson, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. Were you both in college at the time?
She dropped out of college. I was still attending, yes.
And according to your complaint, she moved out.
Yes.
On the lease. She moved out on the lease, and in addition to moving out on the lease, she, according to you, defamed you by telling certain things to your landlord about what was going on in the apartment. You want to be compensated for both.
Absolutely.
Half of the rent and the defamatory remarks that she allegedly made to the landlord.
Yes.
When did you sign the lease?
May 2006.
And you had known each other for a long time, according to what I read in the complaint. So this wasn't new. And it was just the two of you in the apartment?
Yes.
When did you move out?
June 29th, 2006.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me why you moved out.
Due to bad circumstances.
No, well, that's...
Drug use, and she clearly disrespected me after asking her plenty of times, her friends in and out of my stuff, my bathroom. I had to put a lock on my door because I didn't feel comfortable leaving my own house, and that's why I left.
Let me try to sort it out a little bit. You felt uncomfortable because her friends were coming to the house, and you felt uncomfortable with them.
Yes.
Why?
Because they were up all hours of the night using drugs.
Did you ever see anybody using drugs?
Yes.
Who?
Brooke and her friends.
What kind of drugs?
Marijuana, and that's all I saw.
Did you ever smoke marijuana?
Yes.
So they were up, they were partying, they were smoking marijuana.
That I know of.
That you know of. A substance that you also indulged in.
Not at the apartment.
Wherever. It's somebody's apartment. You didn't do it in the street, right?
Right.
Well, you didn't do it at school, right?
Right.
So you had to do it in somebody's apartment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you had to put a lock on the door.
Yes.
Your bedroom door. Tell me when you put a lock on the bedroom door.
In May.
Tell me why.
Because I didn't feel my belongings were safe. She had people in and out of our apartment.
Miss May, did you have any rules that you set up before you moved into this apartment with Miss Beeson?
No.
Well, then you have a problem, madam. Your problem is you have to be a big girl.
I know that now.
And if you sign a lease on an apartment, you can't just pick up your marbles and go home. So far, you haven't given me one valid reason why you would be entitled to break a lease. You're alleging that you saw her and her friends smoking marijuana. Whether you did in the apartment or not, I don't know, but you certainly did it in somebody else's apartment, so you weren't frightened. That accident.
$348.73.
Okay. Now, Christina, my darling, a week after he had this accident and asked you to come up with this cock and bull story to give your mother and lie to your mother, you let him drive the car again.
Yes, he was supposed to go and get gas.
You let him drive the car again, all by himself. Tell me about what happened this time, Rich.
There was cars turning in from both lanes, and it's a busy street in the morning because of school. And I thought I saw an opening, so I tried to take it, and a Dodge Neon came and hit me.
So you misjudged oncoming traffic.
Yes.
Now, whose fault was that?
Mine again.
So let's go through the drill. Who was driving the car?
I was.
Who misjudged the oncoming traffic?
I did.
Who's responsible for the accident?
I was.
Who should pay for it?
Me.
At least he learns. Now, how much was it for that accident?
I have a deductible, and
How
here's
much?
my $500.
Okay, did you have it fixed?
Yes, I did.
So far, Rich,
Yes.
you owe Mrs. Fairbanks, not her fibbing daughter, but you owe Mrs. Fairbanks $848.73. Now, Christina, do you have a job?
I did.
Now, the next part of your lawsuit, you want him to pay for the increased insurance.
Yes.
He's not going to. You know who's going to pay for the increased insurance? You are. Because you let him drive the car. He's going to pay for the accidents. But your job is to reimburse your mother because it was your poor judgment letting him drive the car, especially the second time, because that was a bad accident, because he had already been in one accident. And as far as your mother knew, You were not letting him drive the car unless you were in it. That was a lie, and it was the wrong thing to do. There are consequences to your actions, and you're going to have to make up for that insurance if you want to drive a car. So go get a job, because he's not paying for that, but he is paying for $848 so far and 73 cents. Now, you want to give me this business about prom and what money you loaned to him?
He had my daughter come and ask me for money for prom because he was running low and he was going to be graduating in May.
So what did you say to your daughter?
I wrote her the check because I was assuming that he would pay me when he got his next paycheck.
So?
Because that's what they were telling me.
No, she. So far, I haven't heard anything from him. Go ahead.
And so they asked for that money, and I also paid for their boutonnieres and their corsages. He told us that we needed to go up and order them, and that when they came in, he would pay me.
Is that what you said?
No, I did not.
Ms. Fairbanks, forget the prom. $848.73, Rich,
Yes.
is what your responsibility is for wrecking this car. That's not their responsibility.
Yeah.
And Christina, sometimes when you do the wrong thing, other people suffer for it. You know who suffered for it? Your mother. You better make her whole. Get a job. It's all judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $848.73. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I would have appreciated him just telling me that he was sorry.
I said sorry to her daughter.
It was always whatever. It wasn't his fault.
It was an accident.
And he'd make up excuses for it and never would say, I'm sorry, nothing.
Normal accident.
He wanted to marry me and give me children and all that happy crap.
Not gonna happen.
When I found him cheating on me,
Found someone new.
he'd like to drift, where you pull the e-brake.
I didn't do it with that car.
Don't go for a guy for his looks.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He has no looks.
Get over it.
I'll pay her back for everything.
21-year-old Sierra Pickering is suing her former employer, Mike Brown, for non-payment of services rendered.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 556 on the calendar in the matter of Pickering versus Brown. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Pickering, it is your claim that the defendant owes you money. You worked for him for a period of time, and you claim that you quit, but at the time that you quit, you still had some money coming to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown says that you did, in fact, leave your job, and you were paid up until the date that you departed. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. What kind of work were you doing for Mr. Brown?
I was primarily doing graphic design work. That was my major in school. And
When did you start working for him?
The end of November 2006.
Give me the date.
I'm not 100% sure. I was after Thanksgiving, so I'd say probably the 28th or so.
Do you know when she started to work for you?
November 20th?
That's not true. I came in after Thanksgiving
listen
break.
to me. I ask the questions. You don't say not true. You said I don't exactly remember, is what you said to me. So he looked at something. I assume it's a worksheet.
It was her application. I hired her on that date of her application.
That's true. I didn't begin work until after Thanksgiving.
November 20th, 2006. And when did you quit?
February 9th, 2007. It was a Friday.
Were you a full-time employee or a part-time employee?
Between November and December, I was part-time, and then I began full-time at the beginning of January.
January what did you become full-time?
January 1st.
You started working on New Year's Day?
Well, no, but at the beginning of the year. What day was it?
For the record, Your Honor, she is not an employee. She's a subcontractor.
That's not true. There was never any paperwork to justify that. I began on January 3rd, full-time.
And what was your salary?
It was $6 an hour, but I was promised a raise on multiple occasions.
Her salary was $6.15 an hour, Your Honor.
When do you claim that he owes you money? From the period that you were a part-time employee or a full-time employee?
No, he's paid all but $9.30 from when I was part-time. But from the 15th of January until the 9th of February, all of that is still owed.
So you didn't receive any money for work from January 15th to January 29th?
I received a check to cover the work that I had done the end of December and the beginning of January. I received the check on February 6th, but it didn't cover that work period. It covered prior to that.
Was she paid weekly?
That varied. That varied on the job she did because she was a subcontractor, and if she completed those jobs, then she got paid for them.
Well, when you say she was a subcontractor, sir, was she paid by the hour or by the job?
Both.
What does
I
that
was paid
mean?
by the
Explain
hour.
that to
She
me.
did some work at home as well that I paid her for, not hourly, but by the job.
That's not true, Judge.
Oh, so you didn't do any work at home?
I did work at home, but I wasn't paid for that. I was paid only by the hour.
And how many hours a day did you work?
It varied. It was typically an 8 to 5 day, but there were
Listen, Miss
times-
Pickering, it can't vary if you work full-time. If you're an independent contractor, it can vary. If you work for somebody for a salary, so much per week, then you work so many hours. You work 8 hours, 9 to 5, 10 to 6.
It was
11 to 7.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
understand?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand? How old are you?
21.
All right, so pay careful attention. If you work for somebody as a full-time salaried employee, you are paid so much an hour for so much work that you do during a typical day, which is usually an 8-hour workday. Now, he says he paid you during the day, but he also gave you extra money for work that you completed at home. You say that didn't happen, that you didn't work for him at home. So he must be telling me a fib. All I want to know is, on what date of the week were you paid?
I was usually paid on Fridays.
Friday.
To
Sir,
clarify...
can you tell me, quiet, can you tell me, please, from January 3rd until February 9th, I would just like to see 4 paychecks, please.
I don't have the actual paychecks, but I have the check numbers.
Fine. Just give me the check numbers, sir, and what they were for. Just tell me.
The check number 2502 for 350.
2502,
Correct.
which was what date?
Which was paid on
February 6th.
February 6th.
That's 26. We're going to work backwards.
That was for January 3rd through
That's not true. It was for the end
I
of
don't want to
December.
hear you. I'm not speaking to you.
January 13th.
Why didn't you pay her, sir?
Because she was paid at like every 2 weeks, so like I said, per job.
No. No. That I don't buy, Mr. Brown. That I don't buy.
I didn't pay her weekly. She was not paid weekly.
I wasn't paid at all.
I got checks here proving that I did pay.
Well, then show me, sir. All I have is one check that you tell me you gave her for how much on February 6th?
Well, since November, I got check
No.
number one.
From January 3rd to February 6th, give me the number of the checks and the amount. You have one
One check from
2502.
January 3rd to February 6th. She has one check
For how much?
for $356.70.
$356.
Correct.
I don't buy it, sir.
I got the paperwork right here.
I don't care what you have. I don't buy the fact that you paid somebody for a month's worth of work and the amount that you paid them was $356.
But that's what the hours added up because she was calling off work all the time.
That's not true.
No. Don't buy it. You just told me, sir, that you worked during the day, and she also took work home at night that you paid her for, and you're telling me now that the most you paid her for that 5-week period was $356. Mr. Brown, I don't buy it.
May I say something about this check in question, please?
Not yet. I just need the dates of the checks, sir, and how much they were for.
That is just one check.
Show me the rest of the pay that you paid her from January 3rd to February 6th. If the answer is that's the only check, then we're right back to where we were 5 minutes ago. Are you following me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And if you're following me, I'm telling you that I don't believe that in a month all she earned was $356.
That's what I have time cards for, ma'am. She turned in
I
time
don't
cards.
care what you have time cards for, sir.
That's how she got paid, was with time cards.
No. Listen to me. Let's do this, and then I'm going to tell you why you're full of baloney. 356 divided by 5 equals $71.20 a week. And you worked 5 days a week?
I worked 6 days a week, Monday
Divided?
through Saturday.
$11.86 a day, or a little less than $2 an hour. That's what you paid her, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, stop playing with your paper. This is what you just told me. It doesn't make sense, Mr. Brown. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not true.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you didn't like the fact that you didn't get a raise, you should have quit.
There's no other jobs in that small community, especially
then you
in
have
my
a
field.
choice. Then you stay or you quit.
That's what I did. I stayed.
Well, that's fine. That's what you do.
And later today,
She thinks you're a pig for coming after her for this money now. And the truth of the matter is she was desperate and her own mother wouldn't give her a quarter.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sierra Pickering claims former employer Mike Brown owes for unpaid wages as a graphic artist.
Now, how much does he owe you, Miss Pickering?
He owes me $1,000.
Well, show me. That's a pretty even number.
Well, okay. I have all of my hours here. I have my timesheets as well. And he owes me $987.30 at $6 an hour. Now, if he had paid me $6.15 as he claims, or given me a raise as he also promised me.
Well, you didn't get a raise. If you didn't like the fact that you didn't get a raise, you should have quit. So he owes you $987.30.
I couldn't quit, ma'am. There's no other jobs in that small community. It was very difficult to find employment, especially in my field.
Then you have a choice. Then you stay or you quit.
That's what I did. I stayed.
Well, that's fine. That's what you do. You owe her $987.30. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you.
Excuse me, step out.
I had a problem with my boss's temper. He would fly off the handle multiple occasions.
She refused to leave the store. She was threatening, yelling, screaming.
I walked in on him watching pornography at work, which I felt very uncomfortable about.
There was absolutely no pornography in the office.
He referred to me as, oh, don't worry about it, she's a freak, which I felt was very inappropriate, and I was very uncomfortable with that.
Obviously something was going on that she dreamed up. I don't know.
You need to trust your first instinct with people. You know, if someone comes across as sort of shady, maybe they are.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Latore versus Hanlon. Step forward.
Alexandra Latore says ex-boyfriend Anthony Hanlon owes for several unpaid loans.
Miss Latore, this used to be your boyfriend.
Yeah, he claims not, though.
And is your claim that he scammed you out of some money?
Yeah, basically.
Mr. Hanlon says that he never scammed you out of any money. Pretty much you're a nut. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good one.
Tell me about the first bit of money that you gave to Mr. Hanlon.
Well, we met back towards the end of March in 06, and at that time...
Could you try to stand still?
I'm nervous.
I know, but try to be nervous within yourself. Don't make me a co-conspirator in your nervousness by jumping around. It sort of makes me nuts.
Well, the first bit of money came when I got my taxes on April 15th, 06. And he took me and my kids to Target to go buy some stuff for my kids. And he had called me outside and asked me if he could borrow $200 because he needed to pay his insurance to his car. And I was like, okay. He said he'll pay me back. That was the first. So we kept seeing each other after that daily, whatnot. And it came around where I had brought to his attention I was looking for an apartment because I wanted to get out of the transitional place I was at with my kids. And his cousin was moving out and she was offering to sublet the apartment. So that had a $1,000 money order that I had put to the side for my taxes. Out of that, I went and go cash and I gave him $700 to put as security for the apartment.
Who did you give the money to?
To Mr. Hanlon.
Now, she gave you that money, Mr. Hanlon.
No, ma'am.
Who did she give the money to?
I don't know. She didn't give me any kind of money.
Did you tell her about this apartment that was available?
I don't know anything about what she's talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
That was that, and then I kept coming around asking him, you know, what's going on with the money. He kept giving me excuses on the manager this. I was to the point where, you know what, I want to go myself, and I was going to get belligerent with the manager because he kept giving me the runaround that this manager was giving him about the money. He was like, well, if it's a problem, I'll have my cousin Leslie write you over a personal check. Then what happened was his car had got taken away, and he had called me to try to help him to get the car out. And I had told him, you know, I could help him out, but he was like, fishing for like the whole amount to get the car out. And so I was like, I can't help you. And he kind of got mad because I was like, I can't help you because I need to put my money in savings.
So you didn't give him money for the car?
No. That's where it became a problem.
Great.
No.
Go ahead.
And at that time, we had talked about purchasing a car. And some guy was going to sell him a Regal. And he had talked about fixing it up. And then later on, the car would be left for me and the kids and when I had the baby.
Can we get on with it, please?
So I gave him $1,000 basically, and he had put that in his bank account. And he didn't buy the Regal because we talked about going to auction. So he was renting a car and he needed $300 up front. So that was the $300 I gave to him out of my purse. And he was supposed to give that back to me. He never did. So when he rented the car after the weekend was over, he decided to leave. And when he decided to leave, he told me that he was going to give me back the $1,000, and that never happened either.
Go.
Only thing I know about Your Honor is the $500 that I had totally owe her, and that's for the $300 for the car that she had let me rent recently, and $200 miscellaneous cash for gas money.
That's
and
not
I told her,
true.
no problem, I will reimburse you that back.
Talk to me about the $1,000 that she says she gave you to put down on a car.
I don't know anything about that.
Any proof that you gave him $1,000? A check? Copy of a money order? A withdrawal from your bank?
I don't have a bank account. He put it in his bank account.
Well, how did you cash
it
the
was
check?
cash. No, when I got I show you the statement from my taxes the day I got it, and out of the taxes is where I gave him the $1,000.
How much did you get from your taxes?
$4,600 and something.
And what did you do with the other $3,000?
I bought stuff for my kids and bought stuff for my house that I needed.
No. You mean you cashed that check? You kept the money in your apartment?
I paid my rent. And I give him some, because I don't keep cash. I don't have a bank account, basically. I don't have a bank account.
Miss Latore, I don't believe a word you just said to me.
Okay.
Now, she says you also took her son's PlayStation. Was it her?
Her son's PlayStation.
Yeah.
Her son's PlayStation.
Look at me.
I have a PlayStation. Yes, ma'am, I do, absolutely. But that was not for her son. She specifically bought the gift and gave it to me and said, here, this is yours. She purchased
That's a lie.
2 PlayStations.
That's a lie.
2 of them, both.
At the same time?
I would hope so. She brought them home at the same time to her house while I was there.
Will you return the PlayStation?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
With the quickness.
Very good. 1 PlayStation there. So you return the PlayStation to her?
No problem. It will be returned.
Is it in good condition?
It's still in good condition. I have the box and everything, ma'am.
Within 5 days, it goes back to her.
Yes, ma'am. Before that,
Along
today.
with the $500 that you borrowed from her.
Whenever I get it, yes, I will get that.
No, now.
I don't have that now.
You'll get it now.
Oh.
That's the judgment. $500 on the PlayStation. Clear?
Clear.
Very good. Thank you. That's all.
Why does that excuse me? Step out.
I think she just wants to see me. That's why she brought me here today.
He's going there right now, but he wasn't like that when he was living with me.
A relationship, it wasn't one in the first place. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
That's how we call it, excuse me, friends with special privileges.
No, I don't say con, because every dog has his day. What goes around comes around.
Robert and Stephanie Miller are suing the mother of Robert's child, Doris Van Esselberg, for damages from a failed adoption.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 241 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Van Esselberg.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Miller, the defendant, sir, is your former fiancé.
Yes.
And while you were together, you had one child.
Yes.
A little girl, who is now how old?
7.
You have physical custody of that child.
Yes.
Some time ago, Ms. Van Esselberg agreed to allow your present wife to adopt her daughter. And you started proceedings in the family court to have the adoption finalized. Ms. Van Esselberg changed her mind.
Yes.
And you want her responsible for both the filing fees for that adoption and your attorney's fees. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Van Esselberg says she's sorry. She really thought initially that it was a good idea, but she had time to reflect, and she's really unhappy with that decision. So she understands the filing fee, but certainly not the attorney's fees, because you consulted with an attorney after she changed her mind to see what your options were.
Yes.
Well, you are not entitled to your attorney's fees.
Even in the best interest of the child, because she's done this in the past before, and to
Listen to me, sir.
Okay.
The best interests of the child have nothing to do with a small claims case with regard to money from Miss Van Esselberg to you for an attorney that you hired to try to circumvent her decision when she said, no, I'm not going to consent to this adoption.
The other reason for the attorney was to figure out how to reestablish her parenting time and everything else, which...
How to reestablish her parenting time is not what you do. How to reestablish her parenting time is what she does. She can hire an attorney to decide how to reestablish her parenting time, and you wouldn't be responsible for that. So she's not responsible for an attorney that you hire to try to terminate her parental rights, which is really what you wanted to do. And I'm sure one of the questions you asked the attorney was, even if she doesn't consent, is there a way that we can terminate her parental rights and proceed with this adoption anyway? Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement, yes.
Well, she doesn't pay for that. Now, Ms. Van Esselberg, how do you feel about paying for their filing fee?
I don't think I'm obligated to.
You are not. I mean, there is no provision in the law for you to recoup the filing fee. You know, unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, happens all the time that people who are going to consent to an adoption change their mind. And there is no provision in the law.
Is there any provisions in the law, then, for how many times you can do that with a 7-year-old?
Let me tell you this, sir. Perhaps the point when you say, this is my daughter's family. She has a biological mother who is not able to care for her, but is going to have some sort of a relationship with her. And she has the other mother who takes care of her regularly, and that's your wife. And that's going to be the nuclear family.
Okay.
Does she pose this idea to you to give up her parental rights, or do you broach the subject with her?
She asked us.
She called and asked
There
us.
was pushing. There's
No, no, don't interrupt. She called you.
Yes.
Yes.
Has she always made the suggestion, or have you suggested? Shh. You got to wait until I finish.
Okay.
How many times has she made that suggestion?
She has made the suggestion twice since 2004.
Then maybe you should come to the realization that her lack of stability precludes you from relying on her suggestion.
This child has been prepped twice to not have her mother in her life.
Well, I don't know why I don't know why you would do that. I have no idea why you would do that.
Child Protective Services did it the second time. They felt it their need to do it to the child.
Then they made a mistake, because having once in 2004 changed her mind, they should have done no preparatory work with regard to the child the second time until the adoption was finalized. Listen, you have a 7-year-old child, and you have a biological mother who has said, according to you on 2 occasions, I am prepared to give up my parental rights for the sake of the child, to have her live in a stable home, and while I still care for her, I understand that this is a good thing for her. Let us say that that's what she says to you. She changed her mind once, she changed her mind twice. If she says it to you again, file the papers. Do what you have to do. but say nothing to the child.
Even
Why?
when she asked after 8 months, why haven't I seen my mom?
Listen to me. I mean, have you spoken to a psychologist?
She's been in psychiatric care since 2004.
Fine. You have to say, listen, we love you, we're your family, and we know that your mother loves and cares for you, but she has problems that make it difficult, make it impossible, whatever you have to say to her, to let her know that everybody involved with her loves her, and it's not her fault that she's not seeing her mother regularly. That's what you have to do. But I wouldn't take any steps with regard to the child to prepare her for an adoption until after her parental rights, if ever, are terminated.
I agree with that, Your Honor.
Good.
What you're saying.
Well, then somebody made a mistake.
Yeah. CPS is the one that set this up because I didn't want to even do this.
Well,
okay?
then Child Protective... If you didn't want to do this, why is Child Protective Services in your life anyway?
Because
he's trying to push me away.
Listen to me. Shh. I wasn't speaking to you. I was speaking to him. What?
Why? Because of the mental stability in the household of the Van Astenbergs, the violence, okay? Just the different things that's happened in front of my child.
Yes.
She crying, going over to her mother's, and me paying for counseling.
Well, just a second. Who contacted Child Protective Services?
Both parties have.
Who contacted them first?
It was Mr. Miller.
I would assume that Mr. Miller contacted them first, because what you complained about, sir, was what happened to your daughter when she went over to her mother's home. So I assume you contact the Child Protective Services first.
The last time, yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's no question in my mind that you contact the Child Protective Services first. And once they get in your life, it's very hard to get them out of your life. Tell them, I don't want you in my life anymore, so stay out of my life.
And later today,
You don't have to live together to have intimate relations with them. As a matter of fact, sometimes it helps the relations if you don't live together, right?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert and Stephanie Miller claim the mother of Robert's child, Doris Van Esselberg, owes for lawyer fees due to a failed adoption.
There's no question in my mind that once you had custody of this child...
I've had custody since she's been born, her mother.
Fine.
Because he's
Then,
older.
Fine. Then if you've had custody since she was born, then there's no question in my mind that you contact the Child Protective Services first. And once they get in your life, it's very hard to get them out of your life. So if they took over, tell them, I don't want you in my life anymore. I don't want you preparing my child for adoption until after it goes through, because we've already done it twice, and if it doesn't go through, I don't want her traumatized again, so stay out of my life. In any event, unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, you are not entitled to recoup from Miss Van Esselberg the money that you spent in trying to finalize this adoption. The way the law is read, she is entitled to change her mind, which she did. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Victoria Klaus is suing her former tenant, Kelly Stafford, for unpaid rent and damage to the property. Victoria claims the home was severely vandalized.
Quiet in the courtroom. Now, this is case number 42 on the calendar in the matter of Klaus versus Stafford. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Miss Klaus, you own a rental property, and the defendant was a tenant of yours for, according to your complaint, about 5 years.
Yeah, she was a former friend first and then tenant.
But she was a paying tenant for 5 years. What was the rent on the house?
$630 a month. Nope. No.
What was the rent?
It started out at $590, and then it went up halfway through the 5 years to $620.
Well, that's not much of an increase over the course of 5 years. It is your claim that when she left, she owed you some rent, and also that when you went there after she moved out, the place was a disaster.
Yes.
Costing thousands of dollars in renovations.
Yep.
Ms. Stafford says that she left in mid-April of this past year. She, in fact, gave you rent for half the month of April in cash, and that she left the house in fine condition. She doesn't know what happened, but certainly she left the house in fine condition. When did you pay your rent, Miss Stafford? At the beginning of each month?
Yeah, that's not true. Your
Just
Honor.
just a second. Don't interrupt when I'm asking her questions. And you paid, according to you, in the last part of the tenancy, $620 a month.
Yes.
How much money did you give Miss Klaus for April?
$310.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay.
You have to pay for a month's rent. If you choose to move out in the middle of the month, that's your prerogative. But you can't pay for a certain number of days unless you have a previous agreement to do that.
And we did. We talked at the end of March. I told her that I would be moving on the 15th, and she said, "You're kind of leaving me in a jam. That's not fair."
She's absolutely right.
Right, and I told her, and I said, you
Well,
know
she's
what, there's
absolutely
nothing
right.
I can
You
do.
won't
I said
believe
I
it.
can do
Shh,
what
I'm speaking. Don't speak over me. You told her at the end of March you were going to be moving out April 15th, so you gave her no notice.
There was no lease.
But you gave her no notice after 5 years.
No.
Okay. So let us say I believe you that you gave her $300 in cash. Did she give you $300 in cash?
Yep.
Then you owe her $320.
I gave her $310.
Okay, then you owe her $310.
Alrighty.
Because you can't dictate to her that you're going to be moving out at the middle of the month and you only owe half a month's rent. You owe the entire month's rent.
Okay, because she told me that she agreed to that. That would be fine.
I don't believe that at all. I didn't even have to ask her.
Okay.
Once she says you're leaving me in a lurch by giving me no notice at the end of March, she's not going to say, well, I'm going to be real nice to you. You only have to pay me for half a month.
Okay.
Try to play it straight with me, Miss Stafford. I'll be much more amenable to listening to what you have to say about the destruction of the house if you don't fib at the very beginning.
I'm not fibbing.
Yeah, sure you are. Because something doesn't make sense, it's not true.
Okay.
And if you call a landlord, where you've been a rent-paying customer for 5 years, and you say, I'm not giving you any notice, I'm not giving you 30 days notice, I'm not giving you 60 days notice, I'm moving out in 2 weeks. And the landlord says to you, gee, that's really not nice of you after all this time. I've been very good to you. I've given you minimal rent increases over the course of the 5 years. You know, you could have at least given me an extra 30 days notice. You're not giving me any notice. And then she's going to turn around and say to you, and you only have to pay me $310. Ridiculous.
Your Honor, she came to me in the beginning of March and told me that she would be selling the house. That's when I started looking for a place to live because I didn't want to be left out without a place to live.
Listen to what you're saying to me. She gave you notice the beginning of March that she will be selling the house. Not that she sold it and you have to be out in 2 weeks. So start to prepare yourself.
Absolutely, and I did. And I asked her how long it takes to sell a house. She said, I will be doing it through a paper where he would be paying my mortgage, and then at the end, I will just sign the house over to him. It wasn't going to be through a whole real estate or nothing
Did
like
she
that.
give you an answer about how long it would take?
No, she did not.
Ah, okay. All right, so now we have $310 that she owes for the month of April. Now, what date did you move out, Miss Stafford?
The 15th.
4/15. And you say you left the house in good condition?
I did.
Okay. When did you go to the house?
I went there on Tuesday, the 19th.
You moved out on the 15th. On the 19th, tell me what you saw.
Well, first, can I just step back 2 days? On April 14th at 7:30, we still had not received any rent at all from them. I sent my husband over there at 7:30 at night. She opened up the door to him. He asked her for the rent. She said his exact words were, I'm not sure if I'm paying you. I'll have to wait and talk to my husband because she's mad over whatever rumors she heard, and shut the door in his face. I went there the next day on Saturday to ask for the rent because she said she would only deal with me, not my husband. I went there. And that is when we got into the discussion of why she said she was upset about some rumors that she had heard at a diner that I was working at, and that's why she wouldn't pay me. And I said to her, I said, you can't just get mad at me over rumors, and I'm not going to get into any of that. This is between me and you. The diner is completely separate. I said, I'm not telling you you have to move right away. You know, it's going to be 3 months. By the end of this conversation, it lasted almost 2 hours.
You were in the house?
No, she came outside. She was very, very angry, and I could tell she did not want me inside. But by the end of this conversation, she promised me, she looked me face to face and promised me she would give me 30 days notice and that she would give me the full month's rent. And I never heard from her again until I knew the property was empty. When the property was empty and the cops were there is when I said to her...
What date was that?
The cops were there on the 4/18.
On the 18th?
Yep.
And Miss Stafford was there?
She wasn't there at first when they got there. I was there. I had noticed the damage, all the disgusting stuff that was done inside the house.
So you were actually inside the house on the 18th, not the 19th?
Right. I was inside the house on the 18th. That's what the police report is for.
Okay.
And I went in and I saw all the damage, and first thing I did was call the cops for a police report because the place was...
Can I see it?
...completely trashed. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Okay, so she did in fact pay the $310,
right,
because that's what she told the police they would do, and she also agreed to clean up the mess,
right,
according to the police. Okay, did she clean up the mess?
No, she didn't. She had told me that she would come the next day on Wednesday. She got out of work at, I believe it was 5 or 6. She said she would come over then and help me herself clean it. I said, okay, I'll be over here cleaning anyway. Go ahead and come over. Well, she never came, never showed. I didn't go home till I think like 6:30. She called me and said that she wouldn't be able to come because she had car trouble. I said, okay, you know what, if you want to call me another day, I'll gladly go back over there with you. I don't want anybody there now while I'm not there because of what's already been done. I don't trust anyone else there. But I will go back over there with you whenever you want to clean, and I have not heard from her since to do it.
Do you have photographs of what
Yes,
the
I
place
do.
looked
I have
like?
photographs, I have estimates, I have a video.
First, let's take a look at the photographs.
Would you like the video too?
In a minute. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
It's funny. I'm not finding any of it funny.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Is what you're telling me, madam, that you lived there for 5 years and nobody vandalized the house, but in 2 days after you moved out, somebody chose those 2 days to come in and do all those things to the house?
We didn't do that, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Victoria Klaus says former tenant Kelly Stafford moved out owing for rent. Victoria also claims Kelly vandalized the home.
Go ahead.
All these attic pictures and all these basement pictures, yes, maybe some of these are stuff that was left from behind.
I'm talking about the refrigerator, the garbage.
No, we put the garbage out. A lot of this stuff came from the attic that her brother destroyed, and it was from a ton of stuff was left up in the attic that I couldn't even use.
I'm not talking about the attic. Let's
Okay,
not talk
well,
about the
that's
attic. Let's talk
pictures
about
of
the
this.
kitchen. Let's talk about the stove.
The stove wasn't hers, and it was broken. She knew it was broken.
What about the garbage?
The garbage is not all mine.
Whose is it?
Which came from the upstairs in the basement that she packed
to me.
up. Are you kidding me?
You said...
Shh. Did she put the food in the refrigerator and the freezer?
No. No.
Food in the refrigerator and the freezer was yours?
Yeah.
The dirty stove inside was
There
you?
was a
Listen to me.
Okay.
The stove was used by you for 5 years?
No, it was broken.
So you didn't have a stove for 5 years?
No, not the oven part. The top of it worked, yes. There was a fire at the bottom of it.
When you say that somebody else's stuff was in the basement, whose stuff was in the basement?
Her brother had lived there previously before I did. There was stuff in the basement from him, all of his leftover
That you left
stuff.
there,
and
just a
his-
second, that you left there for 5 years?
She brought a dumpster over there and we did clean out. I helped her personally clean out a ton of it, but yes, there was still some left in there.
And so what you're telling me is this mess down here was her brother's stuff that had been there for 5 years?
Absolutely.
Okay, can I see the video, please?
The water on the basement floor is from our washing machine being moved. That I can admit to.
And that's not
But-
true either. Your Honor, that is where there was a carpet and it was so badly contaminated with urine from cat smell that I had to replace it, and egg yolk that someone egged and candle waxed the inside of the entire house, up and down all the walls. That stove that was not the same stove that was in there. I've gotten her 2 stoves since then and 2 refrigerators. That one she chose to have because her father gave her. That's a busted out window in the kitchen, busted out one in the back door, which she said her son put his hand through when he was running through the house.
No, I said my son accidentally bumped into when he
Well,
was
your
running
son
into
did
the house.
whatever he did.
He accidentally hit it, and I told you that 3 years ago, and you said you would fix it.
Why didn't you fix it?
She told me she would do it.
And
Why didn't you fix it?
That's exactly why I didn't, because she told me it was her son.
I'm asking a question. So if your son did it, so why didn't you fix it?
This is graffiti that is written all over the garage by her husband and his band, complaining about neighbors because the cops were called several times due to complaints.
Well, you
of
don't know who
noise.
wrote it.
Well, it's got their names on it.
We didn't do that, Your Honor.
You think she did it to her own property?
No, I don't believe that she did it to her own property. And she also told me that she didn't believe that I did it either. And she told me that I was the last one there, so I was the one that she was going to blame because I had no proof that it was anybody else. So I took pictures. There was broken windows as well, pictures of the house that she promised to put siding and to paint. I've lived there for 5 years and she's done nothing.
We're not talking about whether you chose to stay at a place that didn't have new siding for $600 a month. Listen to me quietly. Is what you're saying that the destruction to the house was between the time you moved your things out and the couple of days and she saw it?
Yes.
Well, how do you think somebody got in there?
I believe through the broken window.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You do. That's your responsibility. You should have fixed the broken window.
No, just not that window. The window on the side. Not the one from the door. The window on the side of the house. That I can...
Is what you're telling me, madam, that you lived there for 5 years and nobody vandalized the house, but in 2 days after you moved out, somebody chose those 2 days to come in and do all those things to the house? Is that what you're suggesting to me?
I am. And my mom was there to clean on Easter Sunday, and she cleaned the whole place with my husband. She did all the cleaning. And when I went in there on Tuesday... She didn't do a good job. Well, I went in there on Tuesday...
You didn't do a good job of cleaning.
Oh, I didn't do a perfect job, Your Honor, but the garbage was out, the eggs were not there, the other things that Vicki is claiming, such as, excuse me, I'll stand, such as the ceiling fan being broken and everything else, that was not there at the time. Maybe I didn't do a perfect job cleaning. It's not my responsibility to clean up after my daughter. I keep my own place clean. But the destruction itself was not there. Some of the more destructive things were not there, okay? That's all I can say.
Maybe she didn't do it. Maybe her husband did it. Maybe her son did it. I don't know who did it.
I don't either.
But it was done during her tenancy because she was there during the month of April. During the month of April, she is responsible for the house. She was responsible for paying rent for starting April 1st in the amount of $620, and she was responsible to see to it that the house was kept in a reasonable state. Now, who is this person over here?
This is the neighbor that lives across the street from where Kelly resided. When I went in and I saw how much damage was done, I was very distraught. I came out, I was on my cell phone. I called the cops, was back and forth. She was on her way out to work at the same time. She used to live there when I lived there. And she came over and she said to me, Vicki, what's going on?
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Jacqueline Bergen.
Ms. Bergen, what do you know about the condition of the house on or about the 15th to the 18th of April?
Well, over the weekend of the 15th, Kelly and her husband and them did move out of the home. On Tuesday, it was probably approximately about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was backing out of my driveway.
Tuesday is what date?
April 17th, I believe it is.
Okay.
And I was backing out of my driveway, and I had seen Vicki over there in the driveway. She was walking up and down the driveway. She had her cell phone. And I had gone over and I said, hey, Vic, I see your tenants had moved out over the weekend. So Vicki had asked me, she goes, did you see the damage to the house? I says, no. She goes, will you come in with me? I said, sure. And I walked through the whole house with her. She used to have a stepdaughter that lived there. And her...
Who?
Kelly. And my daughter and her daughter used to hang out. Her daughter's name was Brianna. And a lot of that stuff in that attic belonged to Brianna. We found shoes that had Brianna's name written down the side of them. School papers. There was pictures in the attic of Kelly and Chuck. There was CDs from the band that her husband had upstairs in the attic.
And this was on the 17th?
On the 17th. And I'm the one that went through and took pictures with Vicki. And then on the back porch, which there is a picture of, she says all the garbage was removed. It might have been removed out of the house, but it was put onto the back porch and left there. There's empty Budweiser boxes. There's bags of trash. And then on Wednesday, me and another girl and Vicki were all over there cleaning, and then that's when Alta came over too and started in with the cleaning. And she said that Kelly would be back that night to help us. And Kelly has not been over there since.
Okay, thank you.
Judge Judy?
Yeah.
I did call her and tell her that I would like to give her her keys back and do the walkthrough. I leave her a message.
What date?
This would be on Monday because Sunday was Easter. 17th?
16th. But she said the 17th was Tuesday.
No, 17th was Monday.
17th was Monday. So on the 17th you wanted to do a walkthrough, but you hadn't taken.
I called her. No, I had called her. I had my mom and my husband was over there on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, taking the garbage out. The garbage was to be picked up on Monday morning. I don't know if I was not there, so I don't know if all the garbage had made it out on Monday morning. I called her and left her a message. She called me back and left a nasty message on my phone on Tuesday saying that the cops were there and everything, and I can play it if...
I don't need it.
Okay.
I don't need it. At least some of the stuff that was upstairs in the attic belonged to Brianna. It didn't belong to her brother. It didn't belong to any of her relatives. I believe her. She has absolutely no...
And her son, spent the night in my house every weekend. He can contest that. She knows that my house was not dirty, and I was...
Listen to me. I think that you left the house a mess.
Okay.
I think that there was a lot of messy stuff left there. And I also think that either you, your son, your husband, or whatever did some nasty writing on the wall. There's no question in my mind that that happened. Now, that isn't worth thousands of dollars, that's worth a good cleanup. And if you had, at the time of your tenancy, had a security deposit, that security deposit probably, or should have been, something like 2 months' rent.
Right.
So at the time that you started your tenancy, according to you, your rent was $590. Is that right?
Yes.
$1,180 plus the $320 that you owe her.
Your Honor, if I may show you just estimates as to what the damage
Listen
exactly
to me.
is.
When you rent a house to somebody, you have a responsibility. Your responsibility is to see to it ongoing that there isn't the kind of damage that you claim exists over 5 years.
Okay.
And you're not going to wait until the end of the tenancy and say, I want new carpeting, I want new appliances, I want the place freshly painted. You have to do that. That's what an owner does to their property. But certainly someone who leaves the apartment should leave it broom swept, clean, and in reasonable condition. I'm not talking about new carpeting, cleaning the carpeting, doing anything like that. And you have to be a little vigilant, because if what you say is that she was a friend of yours, you should have been in that house more frequently at the end of every year to see to it what was done. And you can't tell me now, after 5 years, that you want a whole redo on your house, but you're entitled to have it left clean. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all, Stephanie.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
She lied because she didn't fix up the house.
It's not that I didn't buy the siding. I couldn't afford what I bought her paint.
She didn't do any work that she promised to do.
And she proceeded to leave it out on the porch to let it freeze, and it was no good.
Even when her mom passed away, she got $110,000, and she promised to put that in.
And to bring someone's mother that had passed away and money into it on top of it
towards fixing up the house, and instead she didn't do that either,
is someone that I wouldn't want a friend of anyway.
She did nothing. She's a slumlord.
I don't hold anything against her. I just think she needs to grow up.
Oh, it's done.
And stop listening to rumors.
I will not speak with her anymore.
And live a decent life.
Krista Bishop is suing her former neighbor, Cindy Belseth, for vandalizing her property.
Now, this is case number 379 on calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Belseth. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
No.
Everybody have a seat except
The
them.
children.
The children.
Bird,
Yeah.
find them a nice place outside, would you please?
Certainly.
I'm about to lose it.
Ah, okay. Come this way, gentlemen. Let's go.
Are you two ladies still neighbors?
No, we are
No.
not.
Who moved?
I did. Cindy Belseth got evicted from her apartment.
Don't volunteer any information for me, please. I said who moved. That would require a name. Miss Belseth, you moved.
Yes.
You were neighbors for how long?
I moved in February of 2006.
When did you move in?
October of 2005.
And according to what I read, I believe you had duplex apartment. One was on the top and one was on the bottom?
No, it was a 3-floor. The landlord lived on the first floor, Miss Belseth lived on the second floor, and we lived on the third.
Now, I have a complaint and I have a counterclaim. Miss Bishop says that you harassed her, damaged her property, damaged her children's property. She wants punitive damages. And Miss Belseth, you say that Miss Bishop damaged your property. You want damages also for harassment and lost wages. Okay, so you moved into the third floor?
Yes.
Introduced yourself to Miss Belseth?
Yes.
What was the problem with Miss Bishop and her family, Miss Belseth?
From the time that she moved in, there was constant noise, fighting between her and James, stomping across the floor, playing loud music. She's got a loud voice that carries very far. She started saying she'd have pictures of me doing stuff like destroying flowers that she planted or something.
Well, let's start from the beginning. You were annoyed because she has 3 little boys that were stomping around upstairs.
Not the boys. She stomps.
And the boys don't stomp?
No.
Boys are okay?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the problem at the beginning?
Well, I've confronted the landlord several times. I have several letters that
I'd like to see the letters to the landlord, please. Miss Belseth, this letter you have dated December 18, 2005. Miss Bishop and her family didn't move in until February 2006.
Does that one mention Krista and them, or is that on another issue I had?
That there were mice in my apartment. I verbally told Charles when I first moved in, I thought there were mice in my apartment. Okay, so this has nothing to do with her. This is about mice. April 21st, 2006. You complained to the landlord about her and her children and their bikes. Then in June again you wrote to the landlord, my lease is coming up for renewal in October. I hope there are no surprises in store for me. Why would you think there are any surprises?
Because of all the defamation of character that Krista was saying about me.
Sounds to me as if you would want to move. All these complaints that you have, August, September, April, and again in September, October. It seemed to me you would want out of the apartment if you were having so much trouble. You had trouble before she moved in, too.
The trouble before she moved in was with the fact that I thought there might be mice in the apartment. There were
I got you, but you had trouble before she moved in, too. So the landlord wasn't happy with you before. All right. And your counterclaim is that she bleached all your clothes.
She did.
I have pictures of the clothes, by the way.
About what?
The clothes she claims that I bleached, which I did not do. It conveniently was on the same day that the trampoline was destroyed for good. My complaints were, on June 2nd, first, she called the police. We had left to go to the bank. The landlords knew we left to go just cash out
Don't tell me what the landlord knew. You left to go to the bank.
She called the police thinking we were going to be gone for a while. I was home. The police come knocking on my door and tell me that they had a complaint that 3 young boys, not of age to be home alone, were running amok through the building from the night before all the way till the morning, and she did not know when I would be home.
Just a second. When you went to the bank to cash your check, what did you do with your boys?
They stayed home with my oldest son. He's 13. I have 13-year-old, 11, and 7.
When was he 13?
In October, sorry.
And when did this happen?
This happened in June, so he was
So
12
he was
at
12.
the time. Yeah.
How do you know? He was 12. Can't be home alone. Can't be home alone with 2 young children.
Oh, well,
Keep
the officer
going.
said
Keep going.
that it was okay, but
Officer
anyways.
didn't say it was okay at all.
My first complaint was with the bike. I came home one day from work, and my neighbor had told me that I had better go take a look at my kids' bikes because...
Listen to me. Don't tell me what your neighbors told you. That's hearsay.
Okay. I went into the shed to witness what I was told, that she had been throwing things around.
Listen to me, Miss Bishop. You're not following me, madam. You can't get in the back door what you can't get in the front door. You found bicycles broken.
My son's bike was thrown across the shed with another.
Do you have any witnesses as to who did that?
My neighbor saw her. She was supposed to come, but her children fell ill too.
Then you have no proof that she did anything.
She admitted it to my landlord and I have it. And she admitted it in front of a housing mediator when she took us to court in front of him. And I have that notarized.
Listen to me very carefully. You need a witness. Do you understand? The fact that something is notarized merely means that the person who signed it says this is my signature. That doesn't make the testimony true. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Good. So, do you have any proof that the defendant damaged the bicycle?
Well, I have. All the children had designated spots for their bikes.
Now, Miss Bishop, answer my question.
And
I acknowledge for the purposes of this question, a bicycle was damaged.
Right, it was thrown from
Listen to me carefully. For the purpose of this question, the bicycle was damaged. Do you have any eyewitness proof that the defendant did it?
I have her property in my son's designated area, and I have his bike thrown across the shed.
It's not proof. Next.
I have a police report, and I have pictures of the police witnessing the trampoline she ruined. She sliced it.
Just a second. You have a police who observed her slash the trampoline?
The police didn't, but they went over to my neighbor who was supposed to be here today.
I'm not going to say this again. I need eyewitness proof to the acts that you ascribe to the defendant. Did the police witness any person damaging your property?
No, they just went and spoke to the witness.
I acknowledge for the purpose of the question the fact that a trampoline was damaged, but you have no proof that the defendant did it.
I have letters.
Miss Bishop, enough.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, you are a foul lady, Miss Bishop.
Well,
you have a foul mouth, madam.
Yeah.
Nasty. Nasty lady.
And later today.
Well, there must have been something that happened that you folks are not discussing with me.
This police report would probably be one of them.
And what was that about?
I have asked her that many times, and she cannot give me a reason why or why she does not like me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Krista Bishop says former neighbor Cindy Belseth vandalized property belonging to her and her children. Cindy is countersuing, claiming Krista vandalized her property.
Get to your counterclaim. You have any witnesses that allegedly saw Miss Bishop throw bleach on your clothes?
I have a witness here that was with me.
Step up, sir. Who are you?
My name is Robert Norwood.
Do you remember an incident involving the clothes?
Yes.
When did that happen? Look at me. Don't look at the paper.
No, I'm just trying to think of the exact date.
Do you remember the month?
It's like around in between June and October.
Listen, you are not a judge, is that right?
Correct.
If you're the judge and you ask me to tell you about an incident and you want to rely on what I'm telling you about everything that you remember, and you cannot even remember the month within 5 months of what you saw, would you rely on my testimony?
I would have some questions.
That's absolutely right. You still want to tell me what you saw in June, October?
From what I've witnessed, yes.
Only about the clothes.
As far as the clothing part, what I witnessed...
Look at me.
As far as the clothing part, what I witnessed was something being thrown from above. Now, a couple of days later, when I came back to visit, they showed me clothing that had bleach on stains on
Okay,
it.
so you didn't witness anything. So when you came back a few days later, they showed you in the apartment that there was bleach on the clothes. Is that right?
Correct.
Very good. You can have a seat. Listen to me. Go and be... What?
I have a tape of her threatening me and harassing me.
She hides
good.
tapes, which
Good.
is...
I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear her threatening you and harassing you. I'd like to hear what she said. Oh, you are a foul lady, Miss Bishop.
Well, when
you have a
she-
foul mouth, madam.
Yeah, I do have a foul mouth.
You do have a foul mouth.
When my son's stuff was destroyed,
You
I
have
did have
a foul mouth, Miss Bishop. I don't care whether your son's bicycle was destroyed or there was...
But I
on
never
the
threatened her.
trampoline.
I just asked her to come outside.
You didn't ask her to come outside. Listen to me. Listen to me. Nasty. Nasty lady. Case is dismissed. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And I had called the cops.
You know, bad things happen to bad people.
And the cops went up to her and told her to quiet down.
Karma will get her in the end.
And this is what started everything.
She's just a mean old lady. That's what it is.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Atkins versus Penhollow. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Shanna Atkins is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Penhollow, for intentionally denting the side of her car. Shanna claims Andrew was angry over their breakup.
Miss Atkins, this young man used to be your boyfriend. I assume he's not your boyfriend anymore. Is that right?
That's right.
You had an argument and claimed that after the argument he was a little intoxicated and damaged your car. You want him to pay for the car's repairs. Mr. Penhollow says that he was in fact angry at you at some point, but there was no way that he damaged your car. When was the vandalism to your car noticed by you?
It was May 5th. It was Cinco de Mayo. And it was right after I came outside. He was outside, wouldn't leave until I came to talk to him.
Okay, where did this happen?
At a friend's house in Everett, Washington.
Were you still dating on May 5th?
No, this was like a month after we had broken up.
Now, I gather from your complaint that you were at the friend's house for a party.
Yes.
He was not invited.
No.
So
That's not true.
how many people were at the party?
Roughly 20 to 30.
And what time did you arrive there?
About 9:30.
In the evening?
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
A 2006 Scion TC.
Where did you park it?
It was on the street right outside of his house. He doesn't have a driveway.
But it was parked on the street. How far from the house?
Right in front of it.
Did the car have any damage when you parked it?
No. Brand new. I just had gotten it a couple months earlier.
Okay. Now, at 9:30 when you got to the party, Mr. Penhollow was not there.
Correct.
When did you arrive, sir?
It was a little after 2 in the morning.
And where had you been just prior to that?
I was at a bar a little south of where she was.
What time did you get to the bar?
I was at the bar at like 10 o'clock.
So from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. you were drinking?
Yes.
Now, I'd like you to tell me, Mr. Penhollow, how it came about that at 2 o'clock in the morning you went over to the party, because that you acknowledge in your answer, that you went over to the party.
Yes, I definitely went over to the party.
How did you get there, sir? What prompted you to go over there? And I'd like you to look at me.
Okay.
Not at the sky. The sky will not give you any answers, sir.
All right. What happened was I found out from a mutual friend of ours, who is no longer a mutual friend, but that she had cheated on me when we were together.
And you found that out on May 5th?
Yes.
That night while you were drinking?
Yes.
At the bar?
Yes.
Okay, so somebody told you that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And of course that got me angered. Tried to call her.
What'd you try to call her for? You weren't together, according to you, for a couple of weeks, according to her, for a month.
We're still friends, though. We were talking about almost every day. And so I found out where the party was, because I was invited earlier that night, until I had said something earlier when we talked to make her mad.
Well, what did you say?
I don't know. Some smart aleck comment.
Do you remember?
He called just belligerent, just angry, for no apparent reason. He had done this many times before.
You mean he called before 10 o'clock that night, before he left?
I don't know if it was before 10 o'clock. I think it was after I had been there for a couple hours. And
So he called you from the bar?
From his cell phone. I didn't
From
know
his cell
he
phone.
was
Well, he was at the bar from 10 to 2. You got to the party at 9:30, so in all probability he was drinking and commiserating with himself about how badly he felt that you were no longer together. So, Mr. Penhallow, now we have a situation where somebody has told you something that upset you about Miss Atkins.
Yes.
And you wanted to go over and confront her.
Of course.
And you did go, well, not of course.
Well, yeah. I
Not
found
of course.
I found this news out, and I wanted it settled. So.
Why?
Why?
You think that it's a smart idea to settle a dispute, sir, at 2 o'clock in the morning after you've been drinking for 4 hours? You think that that's intelligent? Huh? You think that that's the optimum time to settle something and clear the air?
At the time.
Well, at the time, because your judgment is clouded because you were drinking for 4 hours, sir.
Possibly.
Not possibly. I mean, don't be foolish.
Yeah.
Good. That's what I like to hear. So now you go over to the party and it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And when you got there, what happened, Mr. Penhallow?
Well, I found out that she was downstairs. I walked in, went downstairs, said some pretty mean things.
Said some mean things?
Yes.
Now, were those things that you would ordinarily have said had you not been drinking?
Yeah, probably. I was
So
that
you-
mad.
So that you were angry as usual, but clouded judgment impaired by alcohol?
Yes. Wonderful. So, I ended up getting kicked out of the party.
Okay, so you said some vile things
Yeah.
to Miss Atkins
Uh-huh.
in front of her friends, and who kicked you out of the party?
I guess it was the owner of the house. I don't know.
Did that make you feel better?
Not really.
Well, let me just a second. So now you're not feeling better than you were when you arrived because you didn't get it all out of your system because you got kicked out of the party.
Yeah.
Who went over with you to the party?
No.
Oh, it's not an answer.
No one.
And how did you get there?
I took my roommate's car.
So you drove drunk?
Yes.
Okay. Did your roommate give you permission to take his car?
She did.
She did?
Yeah.
Where was she? Was she also drinking with you at the bar?
Yes.
And you said, give me the keys to your car, and she said, okay.
Yes.
Another genius.
hmm
So where did you go, sir?
Where did I go? I went to the party.
And then you got kicked out. And
Yeah.
what happened?
I got kicked out, and I was outside. And
What were you doing outside?
I was waiting because I was talking to the person on the other side of the fence because I wanted to talk to her. And so they finally came out, and I left.
Who finally came out?
She did, and she was all upset, and they're like, we don't want to talk to you. We don't, So I just basically gave them the finger and left.
Now, do you have photographs of your car?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Do you have any witnesses who saw him around your car?
Yes. My friend
That would be
Christian.
this gentleman's right over here. Step
Yes.
up, sir. Tell me your name.
My name is Krishnil Lingam.
You were at the party that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what you saw.
Well, as I got out of the house, I went outside, and then I looked outside, and he was across the fence, and then he told me to call Shanna outside, and then told me that he damaged her car.
He told you.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said that I put a dent on her car.
Okay. Who do you think dented her car, Mr. Penhallow?
I have no idea.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Penhallow?
I'm a barista.
A what?
A barista.
What is that?
Coffee. I make coffee.
Is that what they call it? A barista?
So I understand.
What?
So I understand.
Did you know that before? A barista?
Yeah. I do crosswords. I do crosswords.
I know.
remember?
Do you want to be anything other than a barista, sir, when you grow up?
I want to actually own my own coffee shop.
Good. Coffee is better than booze, right?
It is.
Judged for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,575. Thank you very much. You may step out.
Parties are excused.
I found out she was cheating on me.
Kept having to bail him out of jail.
I don't know. I guess I just made her mad.
Possession of alcohol as a minor.
Let's-
I think he does have a problem with alcohol.
I don't know. She's crazy.
I'm glad it's done over. I'm very glad.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Laxon versus Laxon. Step forward, please.
Chris Laxon is suing her ex-husband, Henry Laxon, for vet bills he promised to pay when his cat Toes became ill. Henry says he wanted the cat euthanized.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Laxon. You mean you couldn't work this out? You had to come here?
Yes.
You two folks have been divorced for how long?
About 7 years.
And from what I read in the complaint and the answer, you have children together?
Yes. Yes.
You have shared custody of the children?
Yes.
That seems to work out fine.
Yes.
Perfect.
So that's a testament to your parenting and your ability to put the children's needs over your own.
Thank you.
So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Case is about the cat.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Laxon, you had a cat for the children. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children, Your Honor.
How old are they?
Jonathan is 9 and Brittany is 8.
So 2 little kids. And I understand from the papers that they had had a cat previously that died.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did that cat die?
Well, that cat died probably not too long before this one did, probably about February. We got it from the neighbor downstairs. Unfortunately, it had been through some traumatic experiences previous to that. So it was just a matter of probably when, because the kid they were watching had actually drowned it, and they brought it back to life.
So it died in February.
Yes.
And you got another cat.
Yes.
That cat's name is?
This one's now named as Sugar.
And where did you get Sugar from?
We got her from the local pet shop.
When?
I would say about 2 to 3 months ago.
And then that cat got sick. Sugar got sick.
No, Sugar did not get sick, Your Honor. The one that got sick was actually Toes.
So that was a third cat.
Okay. Well,
Was
actually,
that a third cat? That was a third cat. So first you got one from a neighbor in February. That one died.
that is correct.
Then you got Sugar from a pet shop.
That was just recently.
I'm talking about the cat, sir, that is the subject of this case.
I understand, ma'am.
That's Toes.
Yes, Toes and Moonies, we got...
You got Toes after the first cat died.
No, actually, we got Toes before the first cat did.
So you had Toes, and then you got a second cat, and the second cat died.
Okay. No, Toes and Mooney, Your Honor, was the very first cat that we had. When I moved into the apartment, we didn't have any pets. So Toes and Mooney I got as both kittens, okay? And they were doing really great. Then the neighbors downstairs was about to move. They couldn't take their cat with them. That was Mischief.
Mischief you took, and Mischief died.
Correct, Your Honor.
Oh, Mischief died. And then Toes got sick?
Toes got sick probably about a month later.
And when Toes got sick, your former wife took the cat to the vet.
Yes.
And it was very expensive vet bill. She believes you should be responsible for the vet bill. And your defense is you told her that you weren't paying for the vet bill and that you told her that she should have the cat put down. And she felt as if it was not a good idea to put the cat down since the children had already lost one pet within a relatively short period of time. She now has Toes.
Yes.
And the children didn't go through the death of another pet.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, when did Toes become ill, Mr. Laxon?
I came home on a Monday night after work and picking up the kids from school, and I saw him laying on the floor very still by the refrigerator, and I, nudged him a little bit with my foot. You okay, kitty, okay? And then I bent over.
How old was he?
Toes was probably only about 3.5 years old.
What did you do?
Well, when I bent down to rub him a little bit, make sure he was okay, I could see he was breathing. He opened up his eyes. I didn't move him, so right away, because Chris had worked with animals before, and I know she's pretty good authoritarian on cats, I called her up on the cell phone, and she called me back from work, and I said, can you please come over and look at him? I think he's dying. And she did. And then I said, I'd watch the kids, and she would take him to the vet. I said, please have him put down.
Why would you say that, Mr. Laxon? So far, up until now, quite frankly, I'm crazy about you. But why would you, before you even found out what was wrong with the cat, tell them to put the cat down? Maybe it just had indigestion.
Well, Honor, I've worked around animals a lot, being from the Midwest and Iowa and that. My cousin had a farm. I've never seen a cat or an animal like that being that sick and knowing that the veterinarian bill would be rather expensive. We had a cat like that together in our marriage. He ended up being about $900.
But wasn't this cat part of your family? Lived indoors?
Yes, Your
It was
Honor.
with your children?
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Laxon. How do you explain that to your children?
Well, Your Honor, I realized that it was a very hard thing to do, a decision that had to be made.
Even before you knew what the vet said, you told her to put the cat down?
Yes, Your Honor.
You better hope that your children don't take the same approach with you when you get older. They say, listen, I love my father-in-law, I love my mother, but, my mother took good care of me. She took good care of my cat. She spent whatever was necessary to take care of the cat. My father, on the other hand, said, listen, you're part of the family, we'll get another one. Put him down.
Well, Your Honor, I realized that being that expensive, the most important thing to me was always provide for my children first. $900 could go easy for clothes, food, a college fund, or, maybe even a couple more toys. I mean, another cat would actually be more cost effective. I do love animals very much. I love toes.
Mr. Laxon, what you're saying is you can have an animal in your house for a substantial period of time, have an animal part of your household, and if it gets sick or if it requires expensive shots or something, you just say, listen, let's put this one down and get a new one, because I can use that money instead to pay for your college or to buy an extra pair of jeans or something. Why would I spend that on an animal that I can replace for nothing? Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Laxon? That's what I'm hearing, sir.
I understand you're saying that. You can never replace love on an animal.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Laxon, and I guarantee you, if you gave your children the choice of whether they got an extra toy or whether their cat was given the medical assistance they needed, your children would say, take care of Toes.
That is correct. Unfortunately, being as young as they are, they don't always understand the necessary things it is to be an adult and make important decisions to run a household.
Well, I'm talking to you about making a decision that I believe is in the best emotional welfare of your children. Children can get along without another toy. They can even get along, without an additional jacket, or they can get along without expensive sneakers. But it takes a while for them to get over the loss of a pet, especially when they're aware of the fact that the pet could have been saved with money, even money that you may have to pay over a long period of time. I want to tell you something, Mr. Laxon. You're gathering from what I'm saying, sir, that you don't have my sympathy.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. Okay, so you took the cat to the vet. And what happened, Mrs. Laxon?
Well, I originally met Henry and the children at the golf lessons, and he told me off to the side that the cat was laying on the floor dying. So I said, I'll come over to your house, because if it's dead, the kids won't be able to handle it, and I'll take care of the kids. I got there, the cat was still breathing, and I said, I'll take him to the vet. I have an open credit card. If you'll pay my credit card bill back, I'll be happy with that. It's a zero balance. I won't charge anything else to it. He said, okay. So I took my daughter, who was 7 at the time, with me to the vet. She waited while they took the cat. I called Henry and said, they're doing these tests on it. It's going to be about $300 for the tests. He said, okay. About 10, 15 minutes later, they came back with the x-rays, the blood results, and they said, this is what's wrong with the cat.
What was wrong with the cat?
He had kidney problems, kidney infection. They weren't sure at first whether it was stones or kidney failure. He had blood in his kidneys, so they had to catheterize him. He was in the hospital for 5 days. Actually, he was in for 7 days. But I called him back and I said, this is going to run this much. It's going to be over $1,000 for the whole thing. What do you want me to do? He said, go ahead, we've already gone this far. I said, okay. So they took the cat. I took my daughter back to his house, picked up my son, and we left. The next day, my understanding, Henry went down and visited the cats at the hospital. On Thursday, he called the vet. And on Friday, I went to pick up the children from his house. I said, how's the cat? Let me see him. He says, well, you should have put the cat down. I told you to do that. It's your bill. You're stuck with it. If you want the cat, he's at the vet still. I said, that was never our agreement. I took our daughter with us. I would never kill a cat with my daughter in the room. He said, well, it's your problem. So I called the vet. I picked the cat up on the Sunday. He's now home with me. He's had medical treatments. He's doing very well. He's 14 pounds, and he just loves us to death. He's like a little puppy.
How many cats do you have in your house now, Mr. Laxon?
I have 2, Your Honor.
And you?
I have 4 now. Mine are very old, 15 years old.
Is it true, Mr. Laxon, that your former wife took your daughter with her to the vet?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Were you there when she took your daughter to the vet?
I was at the house when she took the daughter to the vet, yes, Your Honor.
And you want me to believe that she took the cat to the vet with your daughter there and they were going there for the purpose of putting the cat down?
Yes, Your Honor, because that's what I had instructed her to do.
Okay. When she came back, Mr. Laxon, and you found out that she had not put the cat down, and it was your cat, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pick up the phone and call the vet and tell the vet to put the cat down?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Why not, Mr. Laxon?
Because I depended on Chris to do that.
No. Listen, you just said to me, sometimes when you're a parent, you have to make hard decisions. And even though your children don't understand those hard decisions, that's what you have to do as a parent. So here, you gave an instruction to your former wife to put the cat down.
Yes, Your Honor.
something that you could have done.
That's true.
Same way, you take your daughter and go to the vet and put the cat down. It's your cat, right?
You're right, Your Honor.
But you gave the cat to your wife with your instruction, according to you. Now, the same day you found out that this is not what she's going to do, you had two options. Either you let her go ahead with it, or you call the vet and say, this is my cat, and I'm giving you an instruction to put the cat down. You chose not to do that. You pay the bill. How much is the bill?
The total bill was $1231.96.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, actually, I really think it was a bad choice on her part. This actually allows people to now raise bills on your case and then turn around and put you to the bill.
I'm pleased with it. She saw the honesty in me, and she saw that he wasn't telling the truth, and she saw that it was all about the children, really, more than anything else.
I think there was probably a little bit more involved. Before in the past, when I got child custody from her, she always said someday she'd try to get the money back, and I think this is her way to try.
Our custody is 50-50. I'm very happy with the way things are, and I thought he was too.
Life does happen like this. Animals get sick and die. There's nothing you can really do about it.
Friend Ted Kelly Jr. for unpaid loans and airfare.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2040, Harvey versus Kelly.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey, according to what you wrote in your complaint, you've known Mr. Kelly since college?
Yes.
And you dated in college?
Yes.
That was more than 30 years ago?
Yes.
And according to Mr. Kelly, you broke up with him in college. In what year was that?
Oh, gosh. That was what?
Do you remember?
92, I believe, Your Honor.
Okay.
And then somehow you reconnected. I assume you both had lives in between 1992 and 2022. When did you reconnect?
In April of 2021.
How?
Well, he was looking for me, so...
He was looking for you?
He emailed my best friend. He emailed her business and asked her, well, gave her his number and asked that I call him.
So far correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were interested in seeing her again. In that 30-year period, did either of you have other people in your lives, have children, marry?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, how long were you married?
I was married for 10 years.
Have any kids?
Yes, 2 kids.
And you, sir?
11 years. And
Have any children?
One child, yes.
Both divorced?
Yes.
Okay, that could have made it into a business number. And you called him?
Yes, I did.
And that was in April of 2021?
Yes.
Where did you live at the time?
Detroit, Michigan.
And you, sir?
Colton, California.
When was the first time you actually saw each other?
April of 2021.
You live in Michigan?
Yes.
But you have a child who lives in California?
I do.
How old is that child?
21.
Male or female?
Male.
And where does he live now?
With his dad.
When you come down to see him, where do you stay?
In the past, sometimes I would stay with his dad, and sometimes I would stay in a hotel.
So when you visited him, you either stayed with his father or your ex-husband?
Yes.
Or stayed in a hotel?
Yes.
Depending upon the circumstance. Most of the time, did you stay at the house with his father, or most of the time in a hotel?
Most of the time, in the past, I stayed in the house with his father.
And is this his father's only child as well?
We have 2 children together.
2 children?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the other child?
She's in Chicago, Illinois.
How old is she?
26.
So you see her less frequently than you see your son?
I probably see them about the same.
What happened is you saw each other for a while. You thought it was an exclusive relationship. You did not.
At first, yes, I did, Your Honor.
And then what happened?
The last time I saw her was in Detroit. And when I returned from Detroit, the girl that I was seeing at the time had disappeared.
You mean the girl that you were seeing prior to seeing her?
Right, exactly. And I thought the relationship was over. She went deep into Mexico, and I hadn't heard from her. She had to go for some family business. And then she resurfaced once I came back. And
once you came back from California on your last trip?
Once I came back from Detroit.
From Detroit?
Spending time with her.
To California.
And so we started talking again, and I didn't get in contact with her. She was trying to contact me, and so
you stopped answering her calls?
No, not really. I called her, and I let her know that, the girl resurfaced and that I didn't think it was going to be able to work out between me and her. And that's when the problem came along.
The problems with regard to money?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what your lawsuit is about. So you broke up with her, and at that time, according to you, you had unpaid advances to him for an airline ticket and car repairs and some small amount of money for a new grandchild that he had, some baby items. So let's start with the plane ticket. When was the time that there was an airfare issue. Who paid for the airfare? Because he would drive most of the time.
He drove one time. I flew, and this was the only time that he said he would pay for the ticket. I paid the other time.
Okay, well, tell me about his discussion with you of paying for this ticket.
Sure. So he wanted me to come for his birthday.
When is your birthday?
In June, Your Honor.
And I told him that I was looking for tickets.
He said, I want you to come for my birthday.
Yes.
No, tell me what he said.
He said...
Tell me what he said. No, don't look over there. Look over here.
He said, I'm going to fly my boo thing out.
Okay. And
later, I looked for tickets, and he said, oh, I was going to give you $500.
Okay. And you purchased the ticket, and that was in May of what year?
That was in May of 2021. We agreed that I would put the ticket on my credit card.
And when you got to his home in California, did he give you the $500?
He did not give me the $500.
When did you ask him for it again?
I didn't ask him for it while I was there.
And then?
And then when I was back home to Detroit, and he was crunching numbers, and he...
No, I'm talking about the airline ticket.
Right. Then he said, I need to give that money to you this week, right? And I told him I had made a payment on a credit card, and he could have more time. And so he said he would take care of it. He said, I'll take care of it when I'm there the 1st of August.
Did he come the 1st of August?
He came in August, yes.
Okay, and what happened in August?
He came in August. We was there. We did not have any discussion about money until he told me that his account was compromised and somebody owed him some money and didn't give him the money. And so that's when he asked for the other loan amount.
For the other amount of money? You mean he was in Michigan when he asked for more money?
Yes.
Well, when he asked for any money. You had never given him money before.
Correct.
Tell me about it.
So he sent me a text message, and he asked if I could go to the credit union and take out a loan for him.
I'd like to see that.
Sure.
Please, if it was in a text message. Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you check with your credit union and see if you could get a personal loan for $1,000 and I can make payments on it because I don't even have my gas money to get out here. Well, the $500 I'm short would be perfect if you can.
$1,500.
$1,500, excuse me. $1,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, what do you think that meant? Hey, baby, you think you can make that loan and even $2,000?
No, I'm saying the money wasn't a problem until I dumped her.
I don't care if it was a problem a lot. You said it was a loan.
Exactly.
Pay careful attention. If you want a dog that guarantees you practically a nice disposition, buy a golden doodle, not a wolf.
Devonna Harvey says her ex-boyfriend, Ted Kelly Jr., owes for an unpaid loan and airfare.
Well, what do you think that meant?
That she was going to give me the money. But the reason the car was having the problems is because I drove it out there to see her.
No, it's not what this says at all.
Well, a couple days later.
Shh.
Sure.
That's not what this says at all. It says I'm in all you need, and you said, well, as long as you're going, I could actually use $1,500. That would be perfect.
Right. I didn't know that we were keeping tabs on things because I've spent money on her and never asked her for anything.
It's not a question of spending money, sir. Spending money on her is chivalrous.
She came to see me on my birthday, but I bought her gifts. And I took her to Mexico for 4 days.
7 years of college and law school. I took the bar exam. I've been a judge for over 40 years. You think I'm going to listen to you buying her a hamburger? That's not what this is about, sir.
It wasn't a hamburger.
Or a present. That's what people do. You told me, sir, that you were in an exclusive relationship until your girlfriend from Mexico resurfaced. That's what you told me. So buying each other presents is not an issue. Did you tell her?
Just like the plane tickets. I went to see her in college, and I didn't try to charge her for the plane ticket. She came to see me, and we never had that issue.
Are you talking about when you were in college?
No, I'm talking about the plane tickets. We never had an issue with me having to pay a plane ticket for her to come and see me.
I know that, but she said this one was different. This one ticket, not all the others when you visited. This one ticket, you said you wanted her to come for your birthday, and you said you would pay for the ticket.
She wanted to come, Your Honor. It
No,
wasn't I just wanted.
She said you said to her, I want you to come for my birthday. I'll pay for the ticket.
Because she had the time that she could go.
Ask her to come out for your birthday, is my question.
Yes, probably so.
Okay. How much was the airline ticket?
$500.
Show me. $446.80.
But with bags, it was $500.
I don't care about the bags. Okay. Now, I want you to tell me about these baby items. That's the last thing on your menu.
But we didn't finish with the other.
We finished with it.
But he asked me for an additional $500 after that $1,500. 2 days later, I have that here too.
I'd like to see it, please. On Friday, August 20th, said, hey, baby, I had a question. Do you think you can make that loan in even $2,000? Because I need to get a few things done on the car. And she says, yes, but I can't get to the bank today. I can hit the ATM on my way home. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
Loan and even $2,000.
No, I'm saying the money wasn't a problem until I dumped her.
I don't care if it was a problem a lot. You said it was a loan.
Exactly. And when I told her I'd pay her back, she didn't hear from me, so then now we're here.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's a lot of mumbo-jumbo gibberish. Okay, $24.46.88. Now tell me about the baby items.
So he asked me...
When?
Text message, that was...
When?
In July 8th, I'm sorry.
So this was before you loaned him the other money?
Yeah.
Okay, so in July...
He asked me, did I have Cash App? And I told him I did, because I thought, and I gave him my Cash App handle because I thought he was trying to pay me the airline ticket. But he said, no, the problem was that he didn't have Cash App, and he was trying to get his son's baby's mother some money and wanted to know if I could send it for him because I had Cash App.
How much money did he need for his son's
There were
girlfriend?
2 occasions. One was $60 and one was $50.
Do you recall that, Mr. Kelly?
I don't recall her not getting the money for that. I didn't do it because he wasn't in the area where I can give it to him, and I didn't have Cash App, and she sent it on the Cash App, but I gave her the cash for that.
And that was in July?
Yes, while I was still there.
He never gave me any cash.
I don't think so either, because then you borrowed all this money the next month. Girlfriend who disappeared to Mexico?
Yes.
Yes. You lived together?
No.
Okay. Well, it wasn't the ending that perhaps you all envisioned, but you borrowed this money from her, sir, and you have to return it. $25.56, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Obviously, I'm happy.
Well, technically, yeah, it was a loan.
Judge saw through what he was trying to say. I don't know what he was trying to say.
But I spent money on her, and I never kept tabs on it.
Oh, my gosh, he just asked me for a lot of money.
I wasn't in love with her, and somebody else came back from the past.
No, I just want my money, and I told him that. I just want my money.
So I'm curious, Judge, the ratio of cases that you've seen of women loaning men money versus the other way around, men loaning women, their girlfriends, money.
I think I would have to go with 80-20.
I would agree.
This woman has somebody who's reasonable. He, on the other hand, she was okay until his girlfriend from Mexico resurfaced, and he broke up with her. I think he probably was hurt all the years from college that she broke up with him, because he talks about it.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2055, Lukoski versus Clune.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lukoski, am I correct that you own or manage a shooting range?
Yes, it's a target range that's on property that I own in northern Minnesota.
And it's licensed to do commercial target shooting?
Not necessarily. What I do is...
What is not necessarily? What does that mean?
Well, for 19 years, I have been a firearms instructor for the permits to carry for the sheriff's department in my county. Okay. So I don't believe that the training is good enough that the people are getting to be able to carry handguns on the street. So I give them a free additional training session at my range.
You also sell guns?
I do not sell guns, no.
How do you make money, is my question.
So I give money by charging people for the class.
Well, that's what I'm talking. You charge people
Yes.
to use, and you don't need a license to run that sort of operation in your county.
No, you have to be a registered NRA instructor, which is also,
Are you?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
For how long?
Oh, I've been doing this for 19 years.
The case is really not very complicated, but let me see if I can break it down to its most basic elements. There was a gentleman who regularly came to your range.
Yes.
And his first name was?
Jim.
How long had he been coming to your range?
A couple of years at least.
And then, according to what you indicate in your complaint, and Mr. Clun doesn't deny it, he got sick. And according to you, the nature of his illness, you felt prevented him from using a heavier weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you loaned to him, because of his illness, a rifle.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of rifle did you
It
loan?
was a sporting rifle. It was very lightweight.
What kind?
It was called a PS-90. That was the model.
PS?
PS as in Sam, 90.
Would you take a look at that, Sarah, please?
I have a picture, Your Honor, if you'd like to see one.
I would.
It's very unusual.
Okay.
May I see it? Thank you.
And on approximately what month and year did you loan Jim this gun?
Well...
Well is not an answer, so let's think carefully, because we know we're coming
probably
forward.
a month approximately before he died, which
Well,
was
I don't know when that
September.
was.
September 8th, I believe, he passed away in 2021.
How did you find out that he passed away?
I believe Mary here, who's here because of the fact that she caregave for him while he was going through cancer treatments. She was his reason for staying alive. And she also did witness some things that happened in this case.
Okay, I'll get to you in a second. So he passed away on November 8th.
He died on September 9th.
9th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And okay.
Prior to his passing away, Jim and Mr. Clun had some business deal. And Mr. Clun believed that Jim owed him money. So far, right?
Correct.
And after Jim died, Mr. Clun went to Jim's home and took several things from the home to satisfy that debt.
No, I did not do that, Your Honor. I never came back to the house. I never took anything. Everything I received prior to his death.
Okay. Tell me when you received the gun that belonged to Mr. Lukoski.
Looks like 5/20/21.
Can I see what you have that indicates that you received the gun in May? Because you gave it to him about a month before he died?
Approximately a month.
Well,
could have been a little longer.
It had to be longer.
Okay.
I picked it up the 5th, a month.
Okay.
And tell me the circumstances, because that's what this case is about. Mr. Lukoski claims that it was his gun. It was a loan. You had no right because you took it. You got it, evidently, you want to tell me, from Jim, and then subsequently sold it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding your getting possession of this gun in May of 2021.
Jim was in need of money, so I loaned him money, and in trade for the money as collateral, he said he would
Okay. And I'm going to let you tell me this because Jim's not here, so I'm going to have to get more specifics from people who were his caregivers to buttress what you're saying to me. He needed some money. How did you know him?
Best friends from high school.
And you remained friends?
Yes.
How did you find out that Jim needed money?
Jim called me up, and he was getting scammed, but he wanted the money, and he told me
He was getting scammed by whom?
I don't know who it was, but anyway, I would give him $2,500. He would go to the post office and mail it somewhere. But every time he did that, I would receive collateral of motorcycles or guns.
Just a second. I want you to run this by me. Jim called you and said, I'm being scammed?
No. I think he's being scammed.
I don't care what you think.
Okay.
What you think is unimportant to me. I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding the money that you gave to him. He called you and said...
He needed to borrow money. I borrowed him the money.
No. I need to borrow money. Had you ever loaned him money before?
Yes.
Often?
No. In the last year of his life, I did probably a half a dozen times.
Just in the last year. So when he called you and said, I need to borrow some money, the reaction, even from a best friend, would be, of course, if you need money, tell me why. Right? That's a natural question. And so that's what you asked him. Tell me why.
And I asked him that question, and he said He was going to be receiving $1 million or $2 million in the next...
Gun back to Jim while he was alive.
No, I sold the gun.
Keep going. So you sold...
This specific...
Just tell the truth. You don't have to have a good memory.
Alan Lukowski claims business owner Gene Klun owes for a semi-automatic rifle.
So did you ask him how?
I asked him how, and he said he had it all planned with this guy he was sending the money to.
That's all he told you about it? Or did he go into specifics? He did. It had to sound interesting to you, Mr. Klun, because if my best friend called me and said, I need to borrow some money, and I said, tell me why. And she said, because I'm going to come into $1 million shortly, but I need to borrow money to get it to this guy before I get the $1 million. I would say, explain that to me.
And I did. And he said... He said that he would be receiving money in the next month or 2 months.
Mr. Klun, then you would say, how does that, and can I get in on it? You know, if I'm sending you $2,500, which is what you said you gave him, I would say, oh, gee, $2,500, that's a reasonable investment, and I'm going to get a return on my money of $1 million shortly. I would say, is there any piece of that for me?
I didn't question him. He just wanted the money, and he said in return for the money, he would give me the motorcycles and guns as collateral.
Okay. May I please see the written agreement that you had?
Verbal.
So other than you and Jim, nobody knew about this agreement?
Not that I'm aware of. 2021.
Okay. And when was the last time you gave him money?
7/6/21.
Between May of 2021 and the beginning of July, how many times did you give him money?
4 times.
And you have that documented with bank records, etc.
Right here, Your Honor.
Okay, great. And tell me how much in total you gave him.
$7,500.
Kevin, would you bring me the documents that Mr. Klun is looking at, please? So in total, you gave him $7,500. And in return, according to you, you took possession of how many motorcycles?
3 motorcycles.
And they belonged to Jim?
And he signed over the titles and everything to me.
Well, they were collateral.
Right. But he signed over everything and gave me the titles for everything.
I see the titles to the motorcycles.
They're sold, ma'am.
Interesting.
As well as the rifles that I got also.
I'm just asking you, do you have the sales receipts from the 3 motorcycles? There were 3? Did you say 3?
Yeah.
Do you have the sales receipts from the 3 motorcycles that you say you sold?
No, but I was paid $5,000 in cash for the 3.
How am I supposed to know that, sir? Okay, you sold 3 motorcycles.
Okay.
How am I supposed to know? I mean, all of this is coming out of nowhere, actually, with no proof whatsoever, unless you're prepared to give me some flesh on this bone of a case. Could you stand up? Your first name is Mary?
Yes, it is.
What's your last name?
Wellman.
Were you Jim's caregiver?
Yes, I lived in the upstairs of his house.
Were you a tenant?
We were friends since the late 90s when I first moved to the area.
So regular caregiver of his, or were you just as needed?
He developed cancer in the late 90s, and I stayed, then I lived with him in the first 2 years because of the 50-50 survival rate and the constant trips to the Mayo Clinic from where we lived, were an entire day trip. And then after together, and we did lots together. And
so you lived in the house?
Yeah, and I moved back in. Okay.
Okay. Were you living in the house when he bought these 3 motorcycles?
2 of them I was. A dual sport that he had changed or upgraded to ride a little bit more rough terrain, possibly into Canada.
Okay, just to...
yeah.
That much flesh on the bones I don't need.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did he buy them new or used?
He had bought them used.
In approximately what year?
Well, would have been during the cancer, and so it approximately 2000 to 2003.
Do you know anything else about his dealings with Mr. Klun?
I do know the motorcycles were in the garage when Jim died.
No, they weren't.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't speak. How do you know that?
Well, I had on and off go out there for things, but then Jim's nephew had come and removed one of the bikes right after Jim had passed away.
So the nephew came and removed one.
Mm-hmm.
But this was after he passed.
Yes.
What's the nephew's first name?
Anthony.
Do you know Anthony, Mr. Clun?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you get the motorcycle from Anthony?
Nope, I got the motorcycles from Jim, the motorcycles that were left after Jim passed away.
Okay. Now you can sit down.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Clun. Do you have any statements, text messages, or anything else indicating that Jim indicated to you that he could give you as collateral this rifle, other than the fact that he had it in his possession?
I got more than one rifle. I have checks that were written out to Jim, and that's what we did.
But that doesn't answer my question. Easier to shoot, and as his illness progressed, if I'm getting this right, it was hard for him to pick up his own rifle. Now, he may have had more, probably did have more, because you took more than one, right?
Correct.
Okay. How many rifles did you take?
I took 3 rifles, 5 pistols. I had to bring 3 of the rifles back.
Where?
To Jim to get replacements. The guns that were from Mr. Lukowski.
Only one?
3 of them.
No, he said he only gave him one.
Oh, no, but there was 3 of them.
So you brought Mr. Lukowski's gun back to Jim while he was alive?
No, I sold the gun.
Keep going. You sold...
This specific...
Just tell the truth. You don't have to have a good memory. If, heaven forbid, something happened to me and my dentist thought that I owed him $25,000, he couldn't come into my house and say, gee, this Ming vase is just going to cover my dental bill. You can't do that. And that's what you did.
Alan Lukowski is accusing business owner Gene Clun of selling his semi-automatic rifle without permission.
Keep going. So you sold it. You didn't take it back to him to get a replacement.
No,
to Jim.
You misunderstood. The gun that Mr. Lukowski had, I kept that one.
The one that belongs to Mr. Lukowski, you sold it.
Correct, because...
So just a second. Sold it to whom?
The gun dealer in Virginia, Minnesota.
Great. And for that, you have a receipt.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
I left it at home.
Oh.
Your Honor,
Mr. Clun.
Oh,
Mr.
he
Clun,
had it right there.
let Mr. Clun, he doesn't have to prove anything to me. I believe that you resorted to self-help to claim a debt. If it's true, and you scam was, or at least tell him, Jim, it sounds to me like you're being scammed. Somebody in Transylvania sent you an email that said a long-distant relative of yours died and left you $1 million. I need $2,500 in order to clear the paperwork to send you $1 million. And I will keep a little piece for myself for finding you. You know how many of those everybody gets? I don't know why people still believe that, but you evidently believed that story 4 times. And not once did you say your friend who was dying of cancer, Jim, this is ridiculous. What you're doing is just throwing good money after bad. I don't understand why you didn't say that to him, or if you did, you would not have said to him, unless you had something to gain, which clearly you did. You sold the motorcycles. You don't have any proof of what you sold them for. You expect me to take your word for the fact that you sold them for $5,000 in cash without proof. He owed you, if I were to believe you and these checks, $7,500. You sold the motorcycles, you sold guns, but unfortunately, one of the things that you sold belonged to the plaintiff. And when somebody dies, there is an estate. There's a judge who decides what property there is. You know, if heaven forbid something happened to me and my dentist thought that I owed him $25,000, he couldn't come into my house and say, gee, I like this Ming vase. This Ming vase is just going to cover my dental bill. You can't do that. And that's what you did. You sold property. You may have had a claim against his estate if he, in fact...
Close to me.
Okay. So he had an estate. Clearly, there's money in the estate because he left a house that has some value to someone else. So you cannot, Mr. Clun, resort to self-help. And Mr. Lukowski is going to show me the value of the gun that his...
Yes. May I expound just a bit on this gun?
I don't care about
the manufacturer.
I don't care about the gun. I don't care if it's a crown in my mouth. What's the value of the gun?
The value of the gun at the time that this man took possession of it.
Just give me an answer.
It was $3,000. It's gained in value.
Okay, well, who cares if it's gained in value, sir? I'd like you to show me where the gun is valued at $3,000. Did you look it up?
I did. I have it. It's listed from the same photo. I found the website listed for $2,500.
Okay. My law clerk found an ad online. Now you're going to show me what you want to show me, that the value is $3,000. Let me see it, please.
May I say something else about this gun?
Not until I look at this. I don't know what this is. Immediate checkout credit card. What is this?
Look at the very top, please.
I see what this is. I want to see what you paid for. This is something that's on sale, starting bid.
It's just a typical price of what they sell for on Gunbroker.
Okay. $2,500?
Yes.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm pleased at the outcome because the information needed to be exposed that there was something terribly wrong.
Somebody waits for 10 months and finds out his gun is missing.
Too many different people, and no one had the same answer from him at any time.
Something's wrong.
I don't think he had a choice. There was the only way he was going to win his case because everything's based on mistruths.
I could not get my mind around the defendant. To have a friend since high school that you're best friends with, you remained good friends with. If one of my best friends came to me and told me, hi, I just need to borrow $2,500, your phone sometimes gets tripped up with the scammers and in the middle of the night ringing off the hook. It's unfortunate that people fall for these scams and really send their hard-earned money, sometimes that they don't have, to these scam artists, and they're never going to see it again. And I think that people have to be really vigilant. I know there's been warnings and things like that that I've seen more publicized recently about scams and just how detailed and intricate they can seem, but it's really just...
I get them all the time, as you said.
Yeah.
I have to go like this and then delete.
Delete.
Anton, please answer immediately. Your $3,000 refund is sitting here waiting for you.
Non-existent.
No, sometimes they leave out Anton. Your $3,000 refund is here.
Yeah, gotta be smart.
And, you know, Sarah, a couple of years ago, I don't know whether you remember, but I just thought about it. People were calling me and saying to me, Judy, I didn't know that you went into the cosmetics business.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
And the people who crafted the advertisement, you know, with all kinds of real logos on the top
reviews
of it.
and
Reviews, and I tried this stuff. And I remember being at the gym working out, and a woman came over to me and said, you know, I bought your cosmetics, and they were really terrible. And they keep sending them to me every month.
And probably charging her credit card.
Charging her credit card. And I tried every vehicle in the government to try to get somebody to...
shut it down.
Track it down. And the answer was, they're so smart that they use international, you don't know where they could be. They could be in Peru, they could be in Chile, they could be in Brazil, they can be in Canada. And I know that there are many other celebrities who were caught with the same scam net. But this guy said, my friend Jim, was...
For a washer and dryer.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2043, Pelletier versus Allen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This young lady is a friend of yours.
A former friend, correct.
How friend?
I met her from another mutual friend that I had, and we just formed a relationship together, just a friendship.
Are you married?
I'm not, I'm single.
Any kids?
No.
And what about the defendant?
She does have 2 kids, and she is married.
Currently?
Yes, currently married.
Are you also friendly with her husband?
Yeah, just friends. We were, yeah, before all this took place.
So that all of you were friends?
Yes, at one point, yes.
Case is relatively simple. Miss Allen's washer and dryer stopped working.
Correct.
You had done some odds and ends things for her in the past.
Yes, worked on her car and stuff.
And did you find or did she find the used washer and dryer?
She asked me for recommendations, and she found it on the selling app for used items.
So you told her where she might look for it?
Correct.
And she found it on an app online?
Correct.
Okay.
No, actually...
Look at me.
Okay. He made the recommendation to me.
Did you go on the app yourself?
No, I did not.
So you never saw the washer and dryer?
Well,
is that what you're... Just a second. So what you're saying, I just want to be clear. So I said, if you didn't go on the site, then you never saw the washer and dryer.
May I speak now?
Either you did go on the site and see it, or I didn't go on the site. I didn't see it.
He sent the picture of them to me, just a screenshot. That's all I got.
Okay. How old are you?
32.
You have 2 children?
Yes.
Did the screenshot show you where they came from?
I have a photo of them, and it doesn't say anything.
So is what you're telling me you didn't know where they came from?
Well, there is a name of the site. Would you like to know that?
Where the photo came from. So let's say you are correct, and I don't know. You said you needed a washer and dryer. You say he found the washer and dryer on a site, sent a photo to you and said, is this what you're looking for?
Correct.
Right? And on that screenshot was the site.
Right.
So you had at least access to the same site that he did.
That's correct.
And did the site give you the name of the person or persons to contact with regard to the washer dryer?
There was no one's name, just a phone number.
Did you call a phone number?
I didn't call them.
Who called them?
Mr. Pelletier.
Now, Mr. Pelletier didn't call them unless you said they looked fine.
Well, I did say they looked fine.
Well, what else did you say?
Based on the picture, they looked...
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Okay.
Because what happened here is really relatively simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether you're a simple person, but it's relatively simple. You had a friend. You told him I needed a washer and dryer. Mine broke down. He said, this is a great site. According to you, I'll look up, and he looked up the washer and dryer, and you did nothing. You, who needed the washer and dryer, you must work very hard. How many jobs do you have?
I have a couple of jobs. My children are a big job, for one. And 2, I am a full-time university student, so I am busy.
So you should be able to get a washer and dryer by yourself. You farmed that job out to him.
I did because he volunteered to help.
Doesn't matter. He didn't volunteer to help unless you told him, I need help. I mean, is what it is. Are you using him? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't.
I'm not sure. What do you do for him?
Free of charge, because, well,
for how long?
I didn't expect him to be gone that long either. It was over a week, and I had to buy the cat's food.
So, just a second. So you watched his cats?
Yes.
And is what you believed that him taking care of getting this washing machine payment for taking care of the cats?
Well, not just that. There's other things that happened while he was installing the washer and dryer.
I don't care about things that... What I'm asking you is I'm trying to figure out what kind of person says to a friend, I need a washer and dryer. He says, as a friend, I'll see if I can help you. You have time. You also go on the computer and figure it out. Being a full-time student is nice. That's what you chose. Somehow, you also support yourself and your 2 children. I don't even want to go into how that's done. However, you said, go get the washer and dryer. And he went, how long?
It's 50 miles from my house, an hour and 45 minutes.
Each way to pick up the washer and dryer that you authorized him to get. You said, go get it. It was $1,800.
Correct. And she offered $200 tip for the delivery of that.
For you?
Mm-hmm, correct. Okay. And I have texts of that.
That's reasonable because you spent 3.5 hours in the car. Now, do they live on the 1st floor?
The 3rd floor.
3rd floor. Is it a walk up?
Yeah, it's stairway up to the 3rd floor.
So somebody had to go up and take the old washer dryer out. So, Miss Allen, was that you or your husband?
Mr. Pelletier also removed them.
No, you can move your mouth. It's okay if you move.
No,
it's okay if you move your mouth.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you,
cats.
I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like.
And later today.
When we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had. So between years worth of tolls, like...
I don't know either, but that's what I'm going to find out.
Hunter Pelletier claims his former friend, Alexandria Allen, is responsible for the cost of a washer and dryer.
The plaintiff walked up the 3 flights of steps, carried each of the washer and dryers downstairs, took the washer and dryers from downstairs up the 3 flights, got them installed, and you didn't like them. They were a different color.
And they're busted up. They don't even work properly.
Okay. Miss Allen, when did this happen? In what month?
January 7th of 2022.
You have receipts for different washers and dryers that you purchased since January of 2022?
I do not have the receipts, no.
That means that you didn't purchase them.
Well, I never paid him for them.
No. That means that you never purchased new ones. That means that you're still using the ones he bought.
Correct. But
right.
It did not work well.
Just you bought used washer and dryer. You've been using them January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 8 months, and you're still using them. And you neither paid for them, nor did you pay him for delivery. And I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like. You made a contract with him to go and pick up washers and dryers, disconnect yours, take them out of your house, install these.
He's being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you, you should stay in school. How much did you pay for the washer and dryer?
$1,800, and I took the money out of the bank. She had asked me because her ATM has a low limit, so I went into the branch of my own bank.
That's what you're suing for $1,800.
Yeah, I wanted to get the $200 if possible, but at this point, I just want the money for the machines.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. $1,800.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It damaged the walls of my apartment. They banged it up.
She saw right through everything, the damages, she said.
The machines were overpriced.
None of that happened from me. I'm not a professional installer.
I don't think he cared because it wasn't his money.
At the time, they were less than 6 months old from original purchase date, so they were still worth the money that they were asking.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to be friends anymore.
I don't need friends like that, no.
So this case touched a little upon agency, like an agent-principal relationship, where here the plaintiff was actively acting as her agent by going and picking up these washing machines for her. They had had communications beforehand about this is what they look like, this is what they cost, I'll do it for you for $200. Is this what you want to do? She says yes. You don't get to just then back out of it because you don't like the color. You knew what they looked like. You knew they were used. There was no bait and switch. I was almost waiting for an explanation, for a bait and switch, he put the nice ones in his house and then gave me not so nice ones. But there was nothing. There was very rarely do we see no excuse for.
And she's using them.
Yeah, still for almost a year.
They were all banged up. They were all banged up. Well, that's what happens when you buy something that's used. Mm-hmm. When you buy something over the internet, which is really what she did, she could have just as easily said to him, before you load them in the truck, please take pictures of them so that I see them.
Yes, she could have.
So she could have. Did nothing.
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Also allowed him to take the other stuff down, put the other stuff up, and then say, well.
Yeah.
Case number 2017, Alvarez versus Coover. All parties, please step forward.
Avery and Alvarez is suing his former friend, Brianna Coover, for toll charges.
Mr. Alvarez, this is not a very difficult case. It's a question of dates. You bought a new car.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew the defendant somehow through her boyfriend or?
He's my cousin.
Okay, so you purchased a new car. You had an older car that you were still paying off. And Miss Culver needed a car, and you made an arrangement with her where she would take over the monthly payments on your old car so that you would just be paying your new car. And when she finished making the payments on the car would be hers.
That's correct.
You did, in fact, conclude that agreement, and Miss Coover did, in fact, pay off the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She paid off the car. However, she did not register the car in her name.
That's correct.
And you had your plates on the car, and it is your claim that while the car was in her possession, she racked up $600 and some odd in toll fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Culver said that didn't happen. She had her own Easy Pass, toll pass, whatever it is. And there was no way that those tickets were incurred while she was in possession of the car. And additionally, she's got some very sad story. She paid off the car. She didn't register it for some reason. She didn't register it, which I don't have to get into. You took the car back because you were afraid that your plates were on the car, and you started to get these dunning notices for tickets. Then you had to give the car back because you had given her the title to the car when she finished paying off the car, despite the fact she hadn't registered it. And then you took the license plates back, which is a very smart thing to do, because then she couldn't use them to get through the tolls, and taken to a lot where she didn't have enough money to get the car out, and the car was auctioned off, and now she has no car, and you have $600 worth of tickets in your name.
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
Is that it?
That is a version of the story, yes.
Well, I will let you tell me a different version.
Everything is true thus far. We did have the agreement where he wanted a new car, I needed a car.
No, I got that. I just want to know what I said that was incorrect. I just made it shorter.
Just to clarify, when we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had before they're able to transfer the title over. So that was done. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either. That's what I'm going to find out. But is there any part of the story that I just told that was inaccurate? He transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Other than you who drove the car. Come on, that's a question. And other than you who drove the car.
Nobody.
No. Who drove your car?
Averian Alvarez claims his former friend, Brianna Coover, owes for toll charges. Brianna says she already paid for the toll charges.
He says that you had possession of the car. He got notification that there were tickets. You say that you didn't go through tolls. He said, I didn't have possession of the car. Is there anything that is incorrect about that? So it's just a question of dates. It's not a difficult case. It's a question of dates.
Correct.
Okay, so give me the date that you made this arrangement to pay off the car.
I don't know the exact date.
She took over the car payments starting July 2019.
And when was it paid off?
May 16th, 2021.
When it was paid off, did you sign the title over to her and the
We had
lien holder?
basically settled on a date, and then the DMV over there said that she had to have a sheriff verify the VIN and the odometer before we could transfer it over. I guess it's a rule in the county. So at that moment, then yes, we signed it over to her so she could do it at her local DMV.
And that was on what date?
That was July 9th.
Now, between July of 2018 and July of 2021, did you ever drive that car?
No, ma'am.
When did you initially take the car back from her?
I took the car back September 11th of 2021.
And how long did you have the car when you took it back because of these tickets?
I texted her on September 15th and told her that she could go pick the car up because I had found out that I
couldn't do that.
Exactly.
It was self-help for that.
Correct.
Okay, so you had the car between September 11th and September 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that period of time, did you ever drive the car from July 18th until the present time?
No, ma'am.
So if there were any tickets that were accrued, it was either by the defendant or somebody who drove the car with defendant's permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the dates of the tickets. Ms. Coover, you don't question the fact that between July 2018 and today's date, with the exception of between September 11th and the 15th of 2021, he did not have possession of the car.
Correct. The only reason that when we transferred the title over, we had an agreement.
Just a second. That's all I asked you. This is not a conversation. I just want to know who got the ticket. September 11th and September 15th in 2021, they belong to him. Any other tickets from 2018 July until infinity are yours. Well, we have invoice date is 7/28/21. That would be you. June 30th, 2021, 7/1/2021, 7/2/2021, again 7/2, 7/3, 7/6, 7/6, 7/7, 7/8, 7/8, 7/22, and 7/28 of 2021. Those are all you.
Correct.
August 28th, 2021. That would be you.
Yes.
3, 3, 6, 9, 19, 28 of 2021, August. That all would be you.
Yes. I never argued that that wasn't me. I'm just From the moment that we officially transferred the title over, we were not able to transfer the title over until I paid.
Oh, just show you pay these?
And we were together.
Now, just a second. Show me that you paid them.
I have this receipt.
Just show me that you paid them. That's it.
And that would have been what was due at the time when we transferred the title over.
I'm just going by the dates of the tickets, madam. I don't care how the government screws up. That's not my problem. Okay, show me your payment. May I see it, please?
It should say the date there and the cost of those tolls on the day.
This is your SunPass. You replenished your SunPass.
That's a payment to SunPass. To the day that he came to my parents' house and took the car, there was no way that I racked up $600 in tolls.
I don't know whether you did or didn't. Then take that up with Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what they say you racked up between that period of time. He didn't have possession of the car. You had possession of the car from the time he transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Well, other than you, who drove the car? Come on, that's a question. And other than you, who drove the car?
Nobody.
No. He never drove your car?
No.
Who drove your car?
I did.
Who else?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $654. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Quick and simple case. She did what she needed to do.
I can't really say I'm super surprised, I guess.
I was just asking for payment on the tolls and I wasn't getting any responses.
I don't know how in literally 3 months I didn't rack up $600 in tolls.
It is what it is.
He was okay with me continuing to use his
Take my license plate with me.
license plate until one day he wasn't, and then he wanted all that money.
So, what would be your takeaway from that?
I think as a layperson, my takeaway would be if you're going to sell a car, especially to someone you don't know well, it's not a family member, it's, either a stranger or acquaintance, take your own plates off the car. Get a receipt, bring it to DMV, because your name, your address, your phone number will be tied to tickets, SunPass charges, and even maybe an accident. You just don't want your name associated with the vehicle.